Welcome to Hip Hop Now Podcast. If you're from the future, you know what to do. Get your ass out of here. Don't disrespect the legend. Hip hop is here to stay. Let's get right into the business.
What up, y'all? I am your host, Vegas, and this is Hip Hop Now Podcast, a podcast specifically designed to keep you caught up on all things hip hop, music, and culture that happened throughout the week. Big shout out to the subscribers in audio form on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, third-party apps like Pocket Cast, which is my preferred podcast listening tool, app, whatever, as you will, whatever. Uh, big shout out to those who've been listening in audio form because audio is where the podcast started. It was a hobby, so to speak, something I like doing. And it got some traction. And, I kept doing it until I got to the point where I was feeling like, yeah, maybe it's time to end. 50 years of hip hop was upon us. And I was like, how can I end on the 50th year of hip hop when I've been doing this podcast for so long? Right. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to keep it going for a little bit longer and see what happens. But let me bring a feature that some people had asked me a long time ago to do, which is video podcasts. So now you have Hip Hop Now Podcast on YouTube. If you're listening in audio form, the link is in the description of this episode. Big shout out to the supporters over at YouTube because we are now not at 10,000 subscribers, but 12,000 subscribers right here on YouTube. I applaud everybody who came through, especially those who are new to the channel, because I got the stats on the new subscribers is crazy. But a lot of it has to do with people liking the flow of shorts that I post. And essentially, I'm not always creating shorts. No shorts are really original when you're talking about taking videos and, putting your branding over them, stuff like that. But what I do is I don't block out your branding. I just post stuff related to hip hop that I find dope or funny or interesting. And apparently you do too. So big shout out to them. One video in particular, one short, I'm not even here. I'm not even flexing. It's just natural, right? I didn't pay for no bots. I didn't go on no hype train. I didn't originally get the video footage and then post it. Someone else did, and I just shared it, and it got 2 million views. I'm not joking, 2 million views. Now, I only have a couple of thousand subscribers, but the important part is, and this goes for any content creator whose content you like, if you like what they post, subscribe so you can see more. I say it all the time. But in particular with this channel, if you want to go deeper down the hip hop rabbit hole, well, you can watch and listen to podcasts like Hip Hop Now Podcast, which is weekly news with my perspectives, also your perspectives, because you can leave them in the comment section below. So with that being said, stay tuned for more content. I released some reaction videos. There'll be more, but I'm also working on something I'll talk about a little bit later in the episode. So with that being said, big shout out to hiphopdx.com, who is really the only place I'm getting some of this stuff from. So let's get right into the business. Eminem recently beat out Kendrick Lamar at the American Music Awards. And a lot of people are up in arms. This is coming from hiphopdx.com. And this was, let's see, let me just read from the top. Kendrick Lamar beaten by Eminem at American Music Awards. I don't want to read their whole thing, but let's just get into a little bit of Kendrick's seemingly unbeatable streak has finally come to an end at the AMAs. While the Compton superstar did pick up a win for favorite hip hop song with Not Like Us, he was otherwise shut out at the ceremony. Let's rewind real quick. I'm not trying to be a K-bot, but I watch a lot of sports. The term shutout means you didn't score. So if you got one, it's not really a shutout. You feel me? I'm just a sports head. I'm just saying. Lamar was nominated across 5 other categories, including Artist of the Year, but was beaten by Billie Eilish. I think that one is like, okay, whatever. American Music Awards, sure. Eilish also triumphed over Lamar in Album of the Year and Song of the Year. That also can be a toss up. I didn't listen to Billie Eilish. I know she's extremely popular. I know that song was just as popular. So, hey, it's not a Grammy though. Uh, the biggest upset came in the hip hop category, with Eminem taking home both favorite hip hop artist and favorite hip hop album. And herein lies the problem. Now, I'm a fan of both. The Death of Slim Shady, I thought was a good album. But did it have the momentum to win in those 2 categories last year and even the beginning of this year, but probably last year mostly? Was it better than GNX? I think it's too different to compare as far as the albums go, because they're really 2 totally different vibes and concepts and execution overall. But I didn't think Eminem should be nominated for awards in that regard. Artists, we all know it belongs to Kendrick. It was everywhere. It was everywhere on the radio. I'm in the tri-state area on the radio in New York. I didn't hear any. We're talking about American, right? All of America. We leaving out New York City. I'm just saying, right? But in general, Eminem is not the person he should lose to. I know there was probably some other categories that could have, like, maybe you could have put Pete and CL in the album discussion. But artist definitely should have been Kendrick. Album is subjective, right? It could have been whatever album. It just wasn't Eminem. Now, I'll say this. I know this is mostly a fan award, right? Not like the Grammys where it's kind of like your peers and music tastemakers or whatever voting, including myself. But also, well, my bad, I got it mixed up. I'm thinking about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Even though I don't maybe I did. I don't know. But nevertheless, even as a fan vote, Eminem has a lot of fans, don't get me wrong. But when did this vote take place? How was it promoted? Like I didn't see it as much as I saw the and maybe it's because I follow the Grammys a little bit closer than the American Music Awards. But it felt weird that it would be Eminem. But nevertheless, he won. It is what it is. I'm pretty sure M might say he didn't deserve Artist of the Year. Album, he might debate that because I'm pretty sure he thought his joint was great. But that album came out and then it was done. And it wasn't a whack album to me. It was just that Kendrick was on fire, man. People only cared about if this man did a commercial. Everybody's attention would just go in his direction. People who hate him, people who like him. It was just like he owned the year as an artist. So anything that dropped, from the albums to videos or whatever, he kind of controlled that space in a lot of ways. But again, if this is a fan vote and the majority of the fans voted for Eminem, it is what it is. I will say this: if the American Music Awards as a committee had anything to do with this, I would say the most they could do was not deny the song Not Like Us. But to ignore GNX and songs like Luther is interesting, considering how popular it is, considering the sold out concert that's happening right now. I think they didn't necessarily want to do what the Grammys did and choose a side. I think that's what it is, y'all. I think they didn't want to choose a side, and it could be for reasons that make absolute sense, right? For one, we don't want to get involved. We can't deny this song what it was. We're just going to follow the Grammys lead and everybody's lead and not like us is song of the year or whatever. Cool. But we don't want to stack this man's trophy case mostly for not like us, given the opposition who probably for years, they've ate off of, I'm going to say pause, okay? Ate off of Drake's success, right? And you don't want to give up too soon on a popular artist because who's to say that bygones are bygones and Drake is back and he has hit records and now he's not showing up to your award show or he won't work with anybody related to you for what it could be a number of reasons, right? And some of it I'm fishing, but at the end of the day, the Eminem pick is what makes it questionable. It's like this is a artist and an album that really only fans talked about, honestly, and then they moved on. I haven't listened to it since I reviewed it, not because it was bad, but Eminem just makes typically, um, except for that music to Murder By, that was actually like dope and had variety, but he typically makes albums that are like Mr. Morale and Big Steppers. You have to kind of be in the mood to listen to it rather than throw it on, let it rock or whatever, because it can kind of become background. And that doesn't mean it's whack. That just means the music is so based on a concept that if you're not paying attention, what's the point? You know what I'm saying? It's just white noise, no matter whose album it is. So at the end of the day, more awards for Kendrick. Who cares if he doesn't get all the awards? But the fact that he got another award for Not Like Us says a lot. It just does. Next. So on a previous episode, I asked the question, does Joey look desperate? Meaning Joey Badass, if you don't know. In calling out Kendrick at the beginning of the year and the West Coast as a whole, and I really only asked that question because of the Kendrick thing, because it seemed like fresh off of this battle with Drake, Joey Badass is trying to throw his hat in this battle rap space. And it just felt like something he didn't really need to do, but wanted to draw some true attention to what he had coming up, which was, the television show, Kanan, the Power Joint. Uh, Also, some campaigns he had going on as far as endorsements, right? Some ads, some stories. His woman, she's pregnant, and then obviously and ultimately an album. And I think in a lot of ways, as much as I didn't like how he was, like, I'd rather him say something slick that's a warning shot on an album than to make a song about, Kendrick don't want it, basically. But at the end of the day, he did what he did. And in the winter, there were a couple of replies, mainly from Rayvon, who was signed to TDE, younger cat, newer cat, as far newer in most eyes, and Daylight, well-known battle rapper from the West Coast. And then it fizzled. And then Joey did a freestyle with Absol and Big Sean, not only talking about that, but taking more shots specifically at those guys who responded. Well, that opened up a whole can of worms, and close, it has to be more than 10, got to be more than 10 replies replies and Joey replying to them and back and forth. But it just was a crazy back and forth. And it was probably a really dope moment or not probably, it was a dope moment for hip hop, mainly because everybody was displaying bars and skill. And again, I credit the Drake and Kendrick battle because Kendrick won off of bars. Kendrick won off of technique and varied flows and styles and strategy. And it really got these guys to do some of that, in particular, Joey Badass. So, Joey versus everybody. Did he win? I would say, I don't know. I think it was a draw. And I know some people, they heard what Joey Badass did. I did too. And say to themselves, like, yo, he was cooking them. But Ray Vaughn has some dope joints. Daylight has some dope joints, and then he did what Daylight does, where you wonder to yourself, is he still even battling? Is he still battling? What is he doing? Right? But nevertheless, it was bars. There's a playlist that I have in the description of this episode, also on audio form for y'all who want to check it out, that has all the battles, rap songs from Joey Badass and everybody else listed, and it's 30 of them. Now, this is going all the way back to January when it started, but nevertheless, this whole thing has generated 30 diss songs. 30 from various artists. Of course, Joey Badass has multiple, Daylight, Ray Vaughn. But as I scroll through real quick, this is where things picked up, right? Because I don't think all of it was here. So the one take cipher, right, that took place 2 weeks ago from now. Then there was Ray Vaughn's Whole Era. Then it was Joey Badass, The Finals. Then there was Reason, The Dead Apple, and AZ. See, because Joey Badass called him something else, I tend to forget how to pronounce the last part of it. AZ Cheek. But he was featured on GNX on, I think, Peekaboo. And his song was What Would You Do? Then there was Daylight with Word to whatever. I don't know Daylight. Just speak English, dog. Word to Mevia, whatever. I don't care. CJ Fly with Stingray. I don't even know who that is. K Cash, Nixon 6. I think K Cash was part of Pro Era. I think so. Really J1, Bobby M. I don't even. Oh, that's Jadakiss' son. Everybody says that one was really whack. I guess he was dissing the West Coast, but nobody cared. Joey Badass, My Town, featuring Loaded Lux, which was tough. When I heard it, I was like, oh, Joey punching back. Ray Vaughn, Goldeneye, which was dope. Daylight, Ayo, Joey Badass, Crash Dummy. This is when Joey Badass said, I'm going to drop a bop just like Not Like Us. And I messed with it. It was over the Tupac Hit 'Em Up style beat. I like what he did with it. It was a great response. Daylight, I Can't Hold You, something because it's cut off here. I can't see it. But it got chopped cheese on the cover. Word is Bond featuring Daylight. That was more of a dedication than a diss, where I was just sort of like, Daylight, what you doing, man? The Last Supper from Hitter J3, Headshot from Hitter J3. That's Kendrick's homie. And I think he was also on GNX. Nick Caution, Die Another Day. That's the dude from Pro Era. That was all right. And Daylight end credits, which was cool, but it was so rapidy rap, I'd stop listening halfway through. So, bars. Now, there are more records than this because I just went from 2 weeks ago. There were a number songs before them. I feel like in the beginning, Joey Badass just seemed desperate for a Kendrick battle. In some ways, he still does seem that way. By recently saying, oh, Dot scared, which is, I mean, I don't know. It's not that I don't want Joey to say anything. I just come on. We just did the battle thing. Like, just drop, dog. Just drop something fire, and people will pay attention because they're gonna be looking for Kendrick disses here and there. And you got what you wanted, Joey. But I will say this: if Kendrick decides to respond, I will be interested because I think Joey held it down, not only for the borough BK, for New York. You're not the king of New York, but I get it. Um, but just at the simple fact that there were multiple people dissing him. See, Drake said the 20v1, but it was really like Rick Ross had kind of a, or whatever diss track. Metro Boomin, I mean, they weren't really making diss track. It wasn't really writing bars. The only bars that were coming at Drake were from pause from were from Kendrick, right? So at the end of the day, it was kind of like it was really 1v1. There were just a couple of people who didn't like you, but they weren't really going in like that. This was different. These were rappers from the West Coast and such who got bars making multiple records about you. And Joey was just taking on all comers. Like, yo, I guess I gotta say pause again. I hate y'all kids. Uh, but you know what I mean? So I think he walked out with a little bit more respect uh, than most. I'm a Joey Badass fan. I'm sitting on albums and mixtapes and stuff like that. So I already like dude, and I would already anticipate an album. But I think this battle and how he was able to, stand up and fight, you know, I think it did a lot for his image as an MC. I think he gained a few more fans as a result because I think the difference between these records, the three records he dropped, and the videos coming for the joint with Loaded Lux, if it's not already out. These new disc records he dropped, the finals, My Town, and Crash Dummy, are way better than the tracks he started with in December. I mean, in winter, like January or whatever. Way better. So to me, it was like those were like I think somebody said I think it was Crooked Eye was like those were them coffee house raps in early December. Now this was like yo, I'm in the bodega ordering a chopped cheese with the Timbs on, Joey. So great for hip hop, great moment. If you would like to just go down the rabbit hole in order and just listen to each song from Joey Badass, each reply, mainly from Rayvon and Daylight, but all the replies are there, and most of them are dope. Sorry, Jadakiss son. Yeah, because I was just like, who is this? Who said your name? But nevertheless, I think it was a dope time for hip hop and a battle. So let me know what you think. Do you think Joey Badass won? Do you think the West Coast got him? Is it a draw? Are you a bigger fan of any of these artists as a result, including something new that dropped that's sort of kind of related to this from Absol? Leave your comments in the comment section below. And lastly, so as we approach the halfway point of 2025, most music outlets like to put out a best of the year so far. Right here on Hip Hop Now podcast, we do the exact same thing. I also have a playlist that represents a lot of the music that's been released thus far and will obviously be the best of the year playlist in December. But I also have my list of best of the year so far. And that's coming up in the episode in June. that you can check out, and it'll be a special episode dedicated, maybe even a live stream, dedicated specifically to some of the best projects, albums, EPs in hip hop that have dropped in 2025. But it's always fun because as a music fan, I listen to a lot of music that's not just hip hop, but we all have like a rotation, even if it's one album you just been listening to, riding to. Everybody has a list of some sort of what they've been listening to, even if it's like a playlist. You know what I'm saying? Like the other day, I was listening to a Ransom playlist on Spotify, and I'm just like, man, this man just got bars for days. I got a lot of his projects, but it's always nice to step away from your own music. But right now, I'm going to give you 5 albums that I'm currently listening to right now as far as heavy rotation and why. No order, right? We're not ranking them. Number 1, Freddie Gibbs, Freddie from 2018. This was an album Freddie Gibbs dropped that the cover and the title of the album were homages to Teddy Pendergrass' album Teddy. Same album cover. Freddie Gibbs did a whole promotional rollout that was real R&B-ish. But what made me go back to this album was, one, I liked it, but you know how you like something and you played it a lot one year and maybe you haven't revisited the album in a long time, so you sort of forget. You kind of only remember a song or two. Man, when I pressed play on this joint, I was like, I forgot how crazy this album was. And what I like about it is it was the first time, and I said this on the Homie Kills podcast, Apartment 5B. Check that out on YouTube and audio form. But I said, like, when I heard this album, I was like, yo, this man can rap over anything. He can sound dope over anything. He's so polished as an MC. It doesn't matter how many albums, what the song is, what the beat is. He's always on point. But with this album in particular, Freddie, yo, the beats, like, I don't have no crazy system in my office, right? I got a monitor that's right here, but you can't see it. And I got a little, you see the what is that? Apple iPod, whatever, that basketball, tennis ball, you see that joint. But I have them synced up. And when the beats hit on that album, yo, the bass was crazy. And I was in here like, yo, it's almost as if I was hearing it for the first time. So as a result, I've been listening to it more than often. Also, album release this year, West Side Gun 12. To me, this is like West Side Gun's best project in a little while. To me, I think probably since the joint called 10, I thought that was dope. But this joint 12 is dope for a lot of reasons. Features a lot of Stove God, which is, I'm a big fan of Stove God, but one of the things about Stove God with Griselda is the fact that Stove God has some contractual dispute going on where he can't really release an album. Last year, he released an EP on an independent site that was crazy, and they had to take it down, which is crazy in itself. But a way to keep him out there in the hip hop lexicon was to feature him on Griselda projects prominently. And on this West Side Gun album, he's featured prominently on here. And everything is just dope. And it's not just him, you know what I'm saying? So I really like that joint. I did a review a couple of episodes back. Busta Rhymes, 1997, When Disaster Strikes. The reason why I'm listening to this album, well, on this very channel, what I'm going to do in the very near future is a Busta Rhymes ranking of albums. I've done a few, like Raekwon and De La Soul and Method Man and Redman albums, Ghostface, Snoop. I've done a couple, Eminem, Common, and the list goes on. So Smith & Wesson, most recently also. So I wanted to do one on Busta Rhymes because, like all of those other artists I mentioned, a lot of times, once you have like 5, 6 albums from an artist, some people check out and some albums become a blur. And you really only remember those that stand out the most, but that doesn't make every other project you can't remember whack. You just don't remember it. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times I've found when I go back and listen, great example, I did an episode, and this was only audio at the time. Excuse me, but I did an episode on Big Daddy Kane's albums Taste of Chocolate and Prince of Darkness, which are prominently named as his fall off projects. I realized that Taste of Chocolate was not that bad. Sure, the album cover was what it was, but it was Kane. But the album wasn't as bad as my memory told me it was. Prince of Darkness was. It's complete trash. But that's how I feel with Busta. I feel like when I think about Busta's catalog without listening, I think about the albums that stand out, which may be like 2 or 3, and then I really don't remember the rest. Like When Disaster Strikes, I vaguely remembered. I remember the high points, but I don't remember anything else. So that's the album I'm listening to right now. I already listened to The Coming, and I'm going to go through the whole catalog, including that other one, the Blockbuster. And look out for a video really soon. All right, 2 more to go so we can get up out of here. Lloyd Banks, AON 3. Despite my mistakes, it was released this year. I did a review a couple of episodes back. Very dope album. I think when Lloyd Banks has beats, like beats that are really tough, his lyrics shine through. He always has bars, but sometimes it become a little monotonous listening to him. And some of that's here also, but he rapping on here, and the beats match it. So, and the guest appearances are perfect. So check that joint out. And lastly, it's an album that I kind of only listened to because I saw No ID, and I was like, well, I like No ID, so it could be great. Saba and No ID from the private collection of Saba and No ID. I'm going to tell you right now, I know there's a lot of albums coming from Mass Appeal, Nas and Premier, Clips, and whatever else is on the docket that could potentially make my top 5 of the year. But it's going to be difficult to knock this one out because I think this is just such a great album. It's kind of refreshing from a different style of rapper. You know what I'm saying? And then when I say style, I don't mean he strays so far away from what you know. I just mean that it's dope beats from No ID and a rapper who can rap, who is thought-provoking when he raps, interesting when he raps, and relatable. Everybody either shooting up the spot or got more money than you. It's refreshing sometimes to just hear somebody rap about anything and everything, to be honest. So there you have it. That's my top 5 in rotation. What's in your rotation? You know what I'm saying? Are you listening to mostly new stuff, mostly old stuff? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Rate and rank, or rate, I guess. Rate and review the podcast on Apple Podcasts. I appreciate it if you do that. Also, if you love this kind of content, subscribe to this channel. Obviously, we're just going to keep going up. We're at 12,000 subscribers. I'm looking at it now. Why not just look for 25? You know what I'm saying? You never know. So subscribe if you love the content you're seeing here on this podcast. Hit the like button if you like the episode. Comment below. I read the comments, trust me. But more importantly, share it with people you know enjoy this kind of content. Until next time, y'all, I'm not a critic, I'm a fan. Peace.